You're 6 years old, chasing your wooden doll through the dewy grass of your family's manor garden in 15th century England. The tranquility is shattered by the thunder of hooves in velvet doublets, reeking of horse sweat and spiced wine, flood the great hall. One of them kneels before your father, unfurling a parchment sealed with a king's wax. Your father scans it once, twice, then looks at you as if you've turned into a sack of gold, which in a way you have. The letter is your marriage contract. Congratulations. You've just been traded as a child bride to secure a political alliance. Yesterday, your life was filled with dolls and daydreams, nurses indulging your whimsy with tales of knights and dragons as you nibbled on honeyed bread, its sweetness adhering to your fingers. But this morning you wake up to discover your wooden dolls have been carefully packed away. Ladies don't play with toys, your governess sniffs, replacing them with a needle and thread. You're 6, and the world is a blur of castle drafts and flickering hearth fires as lessons begin. Not ABCs or fairy tales, mind you, but deep curtsies that make your knees kiss the stone floor and French phrases that twist your tongue like thorns. For your future husband, your mother whispers, her voice tinged with bitterness. Like the herbal tonic she forces down your throat to strengthen your womb. Strengthen? You're still losing baby teeth, for God's sake. By 7, the inspections begin. A parade of pinch-faced physicians and midwives troop into your chamber, their scents of vinegar and herbs overwhelming. They press rough hands against your belly, muttering about humors, whispering concerning breeding potential. One seasoned doctor nods approvingly. You'll do nicely once you're old enough. The way he says, old enough, sends chills through your skin in a way you can yet comprehend. Meanwhile, your father beams as if he's won a lottery, while you huddle under your blankets, pretending this is all just a nightmare. Then the fateful day arrives. Dressed in a scratchy brocade gown that feels heavier than you stand in a drafty chapel that reeks of incense and old stone. Your groom, a man old enough to be your father, smells of ale and scans you like a merchant appraising cloth. He's 32. You're 7. The betrothal disguised as a wedding feels suffocating. Your dress weighs you down. The crown keeps slipping over your eyes and you struggle to pronounce your own vows. You dream of escape, of running away to find fresh air and maybe a few toys. But you can't. Vows are mumbled, yours scripted, his slurred. Rings exchanged. Your heavy gold band slides around your finger like a shackle. You're kissed by a man who reeks of ale and old leather. The crowd cheers. A feast ensues, a raucous celebration filled with laughter and clinking goblets. But your childhood dies in that moment, suffocated beneath yards of crimson silk. You spend your betrothal night curled around the little cloth doll you smuggled beneath your shawl in a strange bed. Your new home, a fortress 3 days' ride from everything you've ever known. The servants whisper in dialects you don't recognize. Your husband's first wife died in childbirth, at 15 a cheerful welcome to the family. The maids share while unpacking your miniature trunks. Hope you slept tight, princess. 2 years married and you're still sleeping alone? It should feel like a blessing, but it somehow feels worse. You are in matrimonial limbo, too young to be a true wife, yet too married to be a child. Monthly, court physicians examine you, discussing your body among themselves like butchers sizing up a cut of beef, evaluating your readiness with casual detachment. At 10, you're shipped off to your husband's court like a crate of fine wine, valuable, but not yet to be uncorked. The carriage jolts over rutted roads, each bump a stark reminder of your status, child bride. Whispers follow you like a curse. You arrive at a sprawling castle, its towers piercing the sky like accusatory fingers, the air thick with wood smoke and intrigue. Life here is a distorted fairy tale. Mornings begin with embroidery lessons where your pricked fingers bleed onto silk, staining patterns meant to symbolize fertility. Your afternoons are filled with dance instruction, your tiny feet blistering in leather shoes as you learn to glide like a swan, your heart pounding like a trapped bird. The ladies in waiting coo over you, calling you such a little queen, but their smiles are knives, their gossip venomous. Will she even bleed before he beds her? One hisses. You pretend not to hear, but the fear coils in your gut like a serpent. At 12, inspections intensify. Monthly, a midwife strips you bare in a chilled chamber. Her hands are as rough as bark, checking for signs of womanhood. Then it happens. The first blood arrives at 12, a crimson stain on your linens that seals your fate. Word spreads like wildfire. Your husband summons you to his solar, flushed with wine and anticipation. Soon, he growls, his hand heavy with a grip like iron on your shoulder. You nod, smile frozen on your face while inside you scream. The court ridicules you openly now. She's ready. Ready for what feels like a death sentence with extra steps. The husband orders new bed sheets, while behind your back they call you the doll wife, mockingly referencing your flat chest and childish braids. Rivals older mistresses with curves and cruelty circle like wolves, spreading rumors that you're already barren or cursed by fairies. One slips a fertility charm into your food. Its taste is dirt mixed with despair. Nights turn into the worst kind of torment. Alone in your bed, you hug your knees, imagining escape through arrow-slit windows, but the guard's footsteps echo like jailers. You develop elaborate fantasies about disguising yourself as a boy, joining a band of rebels, dying dramatically of consumption like the heroines in romantic tales. But in reality, all you can do is wait, and the weight of waiting isn't mercy. It's torture, stretching your childhood's final threads until they snap. At 30, your wedding night arrives like an execution date. The older women prepare you with the enthusiasm of morticians, braiding your hair and donning you in a nightgown thin as cobwebs. Their advice ranges from unhelpful, like think of England, to terrifying. Bite down on this leather strap if it gets too painful. Then comes the bedding ceremony. A crowd of nobles parades you to bed, laughing, tugging at your sleeves, yanking back the covers, demanding proof of consumption. Come morning, the curtains close, but privacy is a joke. Their cheers seep through like poison. The experience lives down to every horrifying expectation. It hurts like being torn apart from the inside. His weight collapses onto you, grunting like an animal. You clench your fists, bite your lip until it's bloody to stifle screams only to taste iron and tears. A few moments later you lie motionless, staring at the ceiling beams, wondering if this is what marriage means, being broken apart and expected to smile about it. Your husband sleeps soundly beside you while you quietly bleed into expensive linens. Dawn brings bloodied sheets paraded like trophies, proof of your womanhood. 6 months later, you're pregnant, a nightmare in miniature. The court applauds you while you retch into a chamber pot. At 14, you're terrified, your belly swelling along with your nausea, bone-deep exhaustion, making it almost impossible to move. Morning sickness keeps you bedridden for weeks, while physicians poke and prod, monitoring your precious air container. Labor begins 3 days before your 15th birthday and lasts 36 agonizing hours. With no epidurals in medieval times, only herbs barely dull the pain. Midwives tell you to breathe through it while you feel yourself being split in half. You scream until your throat bleeds, and then you scream some more. You survive. Barely. The baby does not. Your son, of course, it was a son, lives for 4 agonizing hours before slipping away like morning mist. Your grief is overshadowed immediately by your husband's rage over the lost heir, and his demands that you try again before your stitches have even healed. You bleed for days, feverish and hovering at death's door. While physicians bleed you more, leeches sucking at your arms like greedy parasites. You survive, but your body remembers. Hips widen, scars hidden beneath gowns, a constant ache like a war wound. At 15, you're a widow. Your husband succumbs to a fever, leaving you with crushing debts, a title you cannot inherit, and trauma layered thick as winter frost. For the first time in a decade, you're alone with your thoughts, but they're not pleasant company. Your freedom lasts a mere 3 months before your brother-in-law arrives with another marriage contract. Apparently, your womb is still considered valuable real estate, despite its previous tenant's tragic history. You're to be married off again, this time to a duke twice your age who has already fathered 6 children with 2 previous wives. Both of those wives died young. Coincidental? Probably not. Your new husband's court is a nest of vipers where his children from previous marriages view you as competition for their inheritance. His eldest daughter, your age, makes it clear she'd happily poison your wine if given the chance. The husband is kinder, but no less demanding. He wants an heir, preferably multiple heirs, and treats your body like a business investment. Expecting dividends. You become pregnant again, only to miscarry at 6 months. You get pregnant again, and the cycle becomes as predictable as the seasons and twice as brutal. At 18, you finally bear a surviving son. The court celebrates, but you collapse from exhaustion and blood loss. The recovery takes months, during which whispers circulate about finding your husband a second wife to help with your breeding duties. You're 18 years old and already considered worn out. Your body bears the evidence of repeated trauma complications from difficult births, malnutrition from constant pregnancies, and a spine bent from carrying babies before your own bones had finished growing. You look in mirrors and see a stranger wearing your face, aged beyond her years by experiences no child should have survived. At 22, you've buried 2 husbands, given birth to 4 children, 2 of whom survived, and somehow navigated the murderous politics of medieval nobility without being poisoned, executed, or driven completely mad. Your health is permanently damaged from too many pregnancies at too young an age. Your hips ache constantly, your back twists from the burden, and you've developed a chronic cough that no physician can cure. Beauty was supposed to be your currency, but survival becomes your skill instead. Yet here's the turning point. When the next marriage proposal arrives, another aging lord seeking a proven breeder, you do something radical. You say no. Your surviving children grant you political leverage. Your lands provide income, and your reputation for survival makes enemies think twice. For the first time in your life, you choose your own path. The 7-year-old who lost her wooden dolls would be proud. You've finally learned to play with fire instead of being consumed by it.